everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be talking all about the newest palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and that is their Nouveau palette. In this video, I'm going to be doing swatches. I'm going to give you guys the pros and cons of this palette, and I'm also going to be doing a demo for you guys as well. Inside the palette itself, there are 12 different metallic and matte shades. I've been playing with this palette for the last several days, so I definitely have a good idea on how every single shade in here performs, so I will be going over that at the end of the video. But for now, let's go ahead and dive into the demo. I'm taking Fleur and I'm applying it all over my eye area, and we are going to be using that as our transition shade. I'm then going to be connecting Fleur in the lower lash line. With a clean finger, I'm dipping into Lili and I'm putting this in my lid area, into my crease, and a little bit above that as well. Now I'm going into Peacock and I'm going to be putting that onto the outer edge of my lids, and then I'm going to be working it toward the center of the lid and blending it in together. Now I'm applying Peacock down the bottom lash line on the outer edge. For this portion, I'm using the Tarte Shape Tape in the inner corner of my eyes, and I'm going to be using the same brush here to blend out all of the concealer, and I'm blending it softly into my pre-existing shadow. Because I want this to be a softer, smoky look, I'm now tapping in the edges of the concealer to ensure that there's a smooth transition from the concealer to the eyeshadow. I'm now going into Isle, and I'm going to be putting that into that area where the concealer is currently living. Now I'm adding Lili to the inner portion of the bottom eyelid. To add more dimension to the look, I'm applying more Peacock on the outer portion of my eye, and then I'm blending it toward the inner part of my eye above the lighter shade to increase more depth to the eye look. I used Muse to create a winged liner, and I'll be using that as a guide for my liquid liner later. I'm taking Metro and I'm putting that in my transition area, as Peacock does have a similar brown tone to Metro, and so I wanted to enhance that a little bit more by adding Metro to make that a little bit more obvious. I'm taking a little bit of Muse on my brush and I'm lightly going to be putting this into the outer portion of my lids to further create more depth. Now I'm taking Paloma with the fluffy side of my brush and I'm going to place that underneath my brow area. Alright you guys, this is the completed makeup look. I just threw on the rest of my makeup off camera. I felt like this eyeshadow look would be so perfect paired with the bold red lips, so that's what I did. And I actually wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the palette itself, hopefully weighing out whether or not you should purchase this palette or not. So even though I got this in PR, I'm still going to give you guys the honest review. That is not going to deter me from giving you guys facts on how I think this palette performs. So with that said, we're going to start off with some of the cons in this palette. And the first con that I can think of is if you guys are not familiar with Anastasia Beverly Hills type of eyeshadows, just know that their formulation is a little bit softer in terms of like the formulation in the pan. So if you're going in there with your brush and you're tapping it vehemently into your palette, or even as per usual, like you're just tapping it in and not really paying attention, you are going to get a ton of kick-up and a ton of fallout all over your face, all over your vanity. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you guys are worried about that, just make sure that you do your eyeshadow first, and then you can go in and clean up with your makeup remover, micellar water, underneath your eyes or anywhere else you get fallout or kick-up. It's not a big problem for me, so I don't mind it, and I just kind of adjust the way that I do my makeup. So typically I do my complexion first and then I go into my eyeshadow. But when I use their palettes, specifically this one, I feel like has a lot more fallout, so I will go into doing eyeshadow first and then go into complexion. So I just readjust my situation and I make this work. So I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind readjusting. It's just what you got to do sometimes for some good eyeshadow, and I do think that these are good eyeshadows. The next con that I can think of is this shade right here, Wisteria. Not a good shade. It to me was too chalky. It didn't have enough pigment. It didn't blend out really well. It kind of just sheared out until it became like an ashy type of purple that was barely there. Now, it might be because I have an olive complexion, so it might just be pulling off strange tones because of my complexion. However, I just don't like it because, again, it does not blend well. It does not have enough pigment, and it just left me looking like I needed more color. And I do have eyeshadow primer on my eyes, so there is no reason why that was looking the way it did. The next thing that I can think of is the fact that 3 shades in this eyeshadow palette are not meant for the eyes. Yeah, you guys heard that right. So 3 different eye colors in here are not meant for the eyes. They're instead meant for your face and your body. So keep that in mind if that is a deterrent for you purchasing this palette. I don't mind it, and I'll still use it in my eyes because I am stubborn, and it's an eyeshadow palette. I'm not gonna not use it. So anyways, the 3 shades that are not meant for your eyes are Wisteria, which is that purple shade. Makes sense, I guess. Maybe it's supposed to be meant for a highlighter. The next shade that was not meant for your eyes is this one right here. It is Paloma, and I'm kind of torn about that. And I will still use that as an eyeshadow shade. I do not care. And I probably should, and you guys should probably listen to the disclaimers from them, but I will still use them personally. Again, I have Paloma in my brow bone area. The next shade that is not supposed to be meant for your eyes is Metro. This is the shade that I absolutely adore in terms of like the mattes. These are my 2 favorite ones, so Fleur and Metro. And Metro is not meant for your eyes, so that to me is kind of disappointing as well. But again, because I don't care, I still use that as an eyeshadow color. But if you guys are more worried about that, if that's something that might deter you, then definitely keep that in mind, that those 3 shades are really just meant for your face and your body. And again, that is Paloma, which is the shade here, Metro, which is this terracotta type of clay shade, and Wisteria, which has the most beautiful name and color inside of the palette. However, just did not work out for me personally. So those are the cons that I can think of when using this palette. Otherwise, for the pros for the palette itself, I think that their best shades in the palette are definitely the metallics. They all blend so beautifully. They're buttery smooth. They look absolutely stunning on the skin. And my favorite colors within this palette is definitely Isle. I absolutely adore Lili. I think Belle is stunning. Hope is really pretty. Peacock is absolutely gorgeous, and it is a dual chrome shade, so you kind of have green and blue and brown type of shifts on there. I really love the fact that they included Muse in the palette because it was giving me that dimension that I was really wanting, and I wasn't getting that from Peacock. So after I added in Muse, I felt like the entire look just tied itself together. But for the other colors in here, I again love Metro, so it is a shame that this is not supposed to be used in your eye area. But I really like Fleur as well. Liberty and Paloma to me were a little bit on the chalkier side, not so bad. Like, I was still able to use this. I feel like Paloma is really pretty because it has like a little bit of a reflect where it looks like 3-dimensional. It's not just flat type of bone nude shade.
Here are the swatches, and they are in order of the way that they are positioned in the palette.
That is all from me today, you guys. I do hope you guys found this video helpful, and if that is the case, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also ring the bell for notifications so that way you guys don't miss out on my future posts, and I'll see you guys in the next video.